Hello, I'm César Bernabé, a PhD student at the Biosemantics group from the Leiden University Medical Center. In this presentation, I will talk about the use of Go models to support communication, planning, and guiding of verification. I want to introduce the research topic with an example, a request from a researcher. She wants to predict the disease course of patients by integrating hers with other data within and outside her organization. By enriching the data, she will be able to discover hidden knowledge from the data and thus identify new treatments for the patient's disease. From the request, it is possible to highlight two goals related to the data. First, one of the main goals is that data should be interoperable and findable, since it needs to be integrated to other data. Consequently, access and reuse constraints need to be defined as well. However, data integration across knowledge bases is a common time-consuming problem for researchers. Consequently, in order to solve this challenge, the FAIR guiding principles guide researchers around data integration obstacles. The FAIR acronym stands for Findable, where data is well described and uniquely identified; accessible, when data is shared under very clear constraints; interoperable, with data annotated and described with consistent vocabularies; and reusable, for data to be reused under appropriate licensing. Data can be made fair through the verification process, which comprehends steps such as the identification of objectives and data and metadata modeling. Now that the researcher knows that she can use the FAIR principles to achieve results, she needs to identify which goals should be achieved, such as to predict the disease course of a patient and identify new treatments, to make data interoperable with external sources, and find hidden knowledge in research data. However, even if we could list the requirements to achieve the researcher goals, we still need to identify the activities that are needed to achieve each request, which experts are responsible for the tasks, how people should collaborate among them, and so on. Hence, we propose the use of Go modeling techniques to plan the verification process. The literature claims that Go modeling improves the communication between different expertise, and these claims are supported by a way of thinking where the modeler can work out what needs to be done by asking why and how questions related to the main goal. The proposed approach focuses on two steps of verification. Let me first explain the focus on the first step: identify verification objective. So, back to our example. I will now use a Go modeling language to list and relay the same goals we listed before. Two goals that were firstly identified are to predict the disease course and identify new treatments for the disease. These goals are modeled as green round shapes, which are inside an outer boundary. The actor is responsible for providing requirements for the goal achievement. By going through the request, we can identify some goals and then the relationship between them. In this slide, we see that the upper level goal is refined into three more specific ones. By going through the methods proposed by Go modeling frameworks, we can improve the model by, for instance, identifying tasks, desired qualities, and their relationship with goals. With further refinement, we can also identify additional actors, the relationship between them, and which resource they need to provide, and so on. Another step that can be supported by this approach is the data and metadata modeling, a step with a significant impact on verification. In this step, experts need to define the scope and domain concepts that will be useful to answer the research question. The models need to be defined in alignment with the verification goals, which will be consequently properly documented. The conceptual modeling lists the main concepts and relationship between data elements to be verified through the use of ontologies. Here, the modeler can also use Go models and ask herself why and how the research question can be responded. The tasks needed to achieve the goals will help her identify which data sources are needed to run them. These resources can be used to build an initial set of domain concepts, and by investigating the domain concepts and the reasoning behind them, the modeler will be able to design conceptual models that can answer the research question. After having this initial conceptual model, the modeler will be able to refine it and annotate with ontology terms. It's important to mention that in this process, the modeler will be guided to include verification goals in the model in order to drive the definition of elements, and goal modeling techniques can support these decisions. Finally, together with the previous results, when used also in the modeling step, goal modeling will produce a conceptual model aligned with the verification plan, a clear documentation for the conceptual model, and increase interoperability and reusability of the conceptual model. As next steps, we plan to refine, test, adjust, and validate the method. Also, there is a need for more studies and experiments on the relationship of goals and foundational ontologies in order to improve the method. Thank you for watching this presentation.